Hey, y'all looking for that old-fashioned dessert? Ooh, we have got it for you. It's an old-fashioned buttermilk chocolate cake with a buttercream icing. And guess what? I'm gonna show you how to cook it in a Dutch oven. Hey, thank y'all for stopping by another episode of what? Some cowboy cooking. We do it all here. Grilling, Dutch oven cooking, care and maintenance of cast iron. We have got you covered. And we want you to be sure you subscribe to this because we don't want you to miss anything we got going on. And just as always, the little printable recipe will be right down there below. But today, we want to get y'all relaxed, comfortable, and believing in yourself that you can cook in a Dutch oven. And I'm talking baking in a Dutch oven. It's an old-fashioned buttermilk chocolate cake with Shan's special icing to go on top. We're going to walk you through the ins and the outs, the do's and the don'ts of how to cook this in a Dutch oven. And that son of a buck had a holt now. Oh my gosh. I don't know if y'all got them white sand flies where y'all live, but whew, these here is vampires. The first thing we got to do is take this butter over to that fire and get it melted, so y'all come on because it's getting hot. So we've melted our 2 sticks of butter. We're going to put in 1/4 of a cup of cocoa and a cup of water. We're going to stir this up, get it mixed well, let it come to a boil for about 30 seconds. Well, it has boiled for 30 seconds, so let's put together our dry ingredients. We're going to take 2 cups of flour. This is all purpose. 2 cups of sugar. 2 teaspoons of baking.
1 teaspoon.
Everybody's holding their hand up. 1 teaspoon. Always put 2 in mine.
No, you don't.
So today we're going to put 1 3/4. Really just 1. So we got our what-you-call-it here, and we're going to put it on low. We're going to slowly incorporate our hot cocoa liquid. A lot of people use KitchenAid. Me, I use DeWalt. So 1/2 cup of buttermilk, 2 hen fruit, teaspoon of vanilla, which is exactly that much. Breaking news, we interrupt this for a pop quiz. Yeah, I hope y'all have done your homework. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3 Dutch ovens and a cake. Who knows which one we're going to cook it in today? Do you want to do this game where it's like the shell game and you mix them back and forth? This is a 10. I want you to see how much room we got in here. Now, I have cooked a lot of cakes in these Dutch ovens, but you will end up with your cake being right up here close to the top. And when you got the lid on there with coals on there, more apt to burn it is. So good choice, but not my choice. And the Beagle is doing culinary cleaning of the DeWalt. So we have 2 ovens left. Both are a 12. One is a 12 shallow, one is a 12 deep. Now on ranches for years, this is only oven I took that was of any smaller size, and I cooked a lot of cakes, a lot of brownies in it, but I still, when I would get a recipe done, it would be pretty close up here to the lid at times because this cake is going to rise up a little. We're going to put it in a deep 12. It's going to end up giving us this much, yes, Shan, before you get to the top of the lid, which is going to help us to prevent our cake from burning because they got a lot of moisture in them. They're a little hard to cook, but we're going to show you cold placement and we're going to cook it slow to where we get that thing to rise up all the way. Now, an old trick that all you bakers know, and Mama told me, well, you can do it with butter, you can do it with butter spray, you can do it with Crisco. Don't get the Crisco and the off mixed up. It don't work well. We have got it greased. Now we need to flour it. And we end up with a greased, floured cake pan. Make sure you get it all. See these little air bubbles all through here? My grandma and my mama used to do this all the time. You take it, tap it down. We just get them air bubbles to the top. They disappear. They are through. I'll meet y'all at the fire and we'll show you how we're gonna cook it. We have got our tall trivet sitting here on the ground. By tall, I mean it's about 5.5 inches. Now sure, I got it in the dirt a little. One thing that you gotta make sure of, folks, is when you put that on there, and there is an app on your phone that you can use, a leveling app where you can lay it on the trivet. I have cooked these without a trivet or even on a short trivet, which is about 3 inches. But you've got so much liquid, so much moisture in this cake. I love to cook it on a tall trivet, and you can see Old Glory there in the background. It's sort of blowing a little bit, and we got a breeze. Well, you seen me reach in there with that shovel, which got all these holes in it, and you're saying to yourself, you done ruined a good shovel. No. Remember, the holes are there to sift the ash out. Ash will not cook, but it will insulate. And you seen me put some coals around the outside edge and them on top. Now we went pretty light and we stayed a pretty good ways from it. Nothing directly under that oven because we don't need them under there yet. We're cooking this slow. Say you got off out there in the woods and you wanted to cook your sweetheart a cake, but you didn't have no trivet. It can be done. Make sure that you pull them coals a good distance from the outside of that oven because, folks, it don't take as much heat as you think it is if you're cooking with good hardwood to get this cake to cook. And the same thing would be going on top just like it is right now, pretty light. Now, say you're doing this in a shallow 10 or that shallow 12 over there. Still would be the same setup on the bottom, but the coals would be even a little lighter on top as it got to cooking a little faster because we want to slow that down and we don't want to burn the top of that cake. Today, as y'all know, we down here in the mesquite patch and we are cooking with good hardwood mesquite. Now, a lot of y'all probably going to be cooking this with oak. Just make sure you're using a good hardwood. Oak is going to get nearly as hot as mesquite, but it's going to ash out just a little bit quicker. So, we've probably been on maybe 8 minutes at the most. We're going to check the heat. Hand width away from it. Can you hold it for more than 5 seconds? If you can, it's not hardly hot enough. But don't just check it on the top. Check its sides everywhere around. We're going to have to do a little rotating because of the wind, but also as to regulate out some of this heat that we got if we ain't even. So we'll rotate the lid one way, and be careful with this. Don't make the cake fall. The oven the other. As we begin to cook this along, and we've probably been on about 12 to 13 minutes now, according to the Waterbury there in the sky, you're going to lose a little heat. But instead of adding coals to this to make it hotter, we're just going to scoot these up so we can increase our heat level. Seeing as how this is sitting on this iron on top instead of damp ground, the top is still plenty good, so we're going to let it ride just like it is. You can see things begin to happen there, and a lot of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that's like a Susie home baker oven there. He's done through. No, I'm guaranteeing you it's not through, folks. We're beginning to cook a little bit pretty good right there, we are. And it's further along than I thought, but see all this jiggle in here in the middle? So we're going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to show you a trick. Pretty well done around the outside edge it is, but the middle still got the jiggle. So we're going to target a little heat here and put 2 pretty good ones right there in the middle. Pull these away from the outside edge a little farther. Now we're going to do the same thing on the top, and we're going to pile up a little heat right here in the middle. We're actually going to get rid of some of that. That's what you call targeting heat in a Dutch oven. To get the jiggle out of something when there's a lot of moisture in there, a little bit of heat right dead center in the middle, pile it up on top in the middle. Pull the rest of the heat away from it. We're going to cook the jiggle out of it. Come on. Now, them cakes, sometimes they'll say, hey, I got a lot of moisture in there and I need to be letting some of it out, so they'll crack and vent just a little. But it is nearly there, folks. I'm going to go ahead and cook it probably about 4 or 5 more minutes, and we're going to call it a done deal. Come on, I got to get me a stick. A cake sticker checker. You can see that's still just a little wet on that side, so let's adjust these two fellers under here and put them right over there to that side. In fact, we'll give him one more to help him out. But that's about the only place we like. Clean as a whistle on that side it is. Same here. Now over here, she's gonna be just a little wet, as you see. That's why we moved it over there to that side. Target that heat right there. We'll get this done. The beak is getting impatient. One way you can tell this cake is getting pretty done too is you can see that there is separation from the outside edge beginning to shrink. That is always a sign that a cake is going to show you, or anything that is a baked good, that it is near done on the bottom. It will always separate and pull just a tad. But we're going to let this cool. Cover it with a cup towel, cover it with something, let it cool off. That way we can get that cake out of there. Well, before we ever get ready to dump that after this is cooled, you want to make sure that you score it well around your Dutch oven. To do this magical feat, you need a plate that'll either set on top. If it's a deep oven, it is best do they fit right in there. Take your hand, if it's still a little warm on the bottom, and be careful, it's cast iron, it could be. Hold the plate with your hand, give it a tap, 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 and say, hunky dory, it's gonna be okay.
Oh! Ta-da!
Flour tend to burn on the bottom. That'll cut right off there or scrape off oh so easy. You ain't lost nothing. So always remember that. And you can see how clean that is and how that come out of there good. That is a well-seasoned piece of cast iron too that helps. Buttercream icing that goes on there. Oh my gosh. I have eaten her a whole bowl by myself while she was gone one time. Take you a cup and a half of milk or cream, 5 tablespoons of flour, mix it well together, and then we're going to put it over a medium heat, and we're going to stir it until it thickens to a paste. Then you're going to want to let that cool to room temperature, or you can stick it in the ice box or the fridge, as y'all might call it, to help the process along and let it thicken and cool. We're going to take us 2 sticks of butter. We're going to cream them in there, and 1 cup of sugar, and we're going to mix that really well till we get us a good creamy consistency out of it. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla to that. So when you get that flour mixture really cooled, I mean cooled, and you're going to beat it. I mean, take that mixer, put it on high. If you got a DeWalt, KitchenAid, whatever it is, beat it till it is super smooth. Then mix it into your butter, sugar mixture and make sure it is smooth and whipped again. You got to whoop this really well. I mean, you think you got it whipped, but I mean, go on, put it on high turbo blast, whip it up to where it will be creamy, whippy. And oh my gosh. Look here, Big. Look what happened. And you can see that consistency. I mean, this stuff is so good, you'll put it on everything you got. Now, just layer you some out there. I have never been a cake decorator, but I'm gonna today. Shan come along while I was over getting some stuff, and she done put it on a fancy plate deal. I don't know what you call it. I call it a cake tripod holder. But look here, folks. And that cake is moist. See all that good moisture in there? And this buttercream icing, this is old-fashioned. That butter and that cream mixed together, this is what goes on so much stuff back when I was a child. And it's sort of got a different consistency to it. You can see that, I mean, it's just fine. Finer than frog's hair and slicker than bug's boots. Old-fashioned buttermilk gives it such a great taste. The thing that really puts this over the top is the icing, but also when you can combine buttermilk with a little soda in a cake, it just gives it that rich taste to me that just sort of makes it just tingle when it gets back to them throat buds back there you got. I want you to learn that it takes patience and practice. I still do it all the time. I have to have more practice. I want you to have faith in yourself that you can bake in a Dutch oven in any circumstances. But get the family out there. That's what it's about, bringing a family together. So as always, I tip my hat to all our service men and women and all our veterans who have kept that old flag flying above every camp we're going to be in. We fly it every day with honor and pride, and we do thank y'all so much for the sacrifices y'all have made. Be sure you sign up for our newsletter. We're going to bring some cooks together on an online course to teach y'all how to cook with a lot of different things and methods and ways to capture that fire and make it work for you. So until we see you next week, and remember, like, share, and subscribe. There's a video every Wednesday. And guess what, folks? I'll see you down the buttermilk, old-fashioned cream cheese, butter icing. Gotta
There's
go.
not cream cheese in it.
Oh, we'll back up. We'll see you down that old-fashioned buttermilk chocolate cake with this buttercream icing. It is the best thing ever.